Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatica and welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. People joining me today, and to have you be just amazed by the amount of knowledge, and I think you can tell by over my shoulder, they represent the Presque Partnership. You know what that is. That's a great group of people who volunteer their time to make our treasure at Presque a much better place. So let's start with some introductions. On your left is the director of the Presque Partnership, the executive director of the Presque Partnership. Say hi to John DeMarco. John, nice of you to join us today.
Thank you.
And sitting in the middle is Alana Hanman. Alana is the president of the board of the Presque Partnership. She has the power. Sure you do.
Sure I do. Sure I do.
All right, you can see the signs behind us, one talking about special events and one talking about our history. Let's start with that. Let's start with the history of the Presque Partnership, because it always wasn't. How did it come to be, John?
It all started with a guy by the name of Don Guerin, and Don had a really strong passion for Presque Isle, and he felt a need on a private end to go out and generate funds to then enhance the park by way of educational programs, park benches, you name it, things that really just supplemented what the state was already doing.
Okay.
So we were actually formed in 1994. So if you think about it, this is our 20th anniversary.
Right, yeah, that's
so
nice anniversary.
It's pretty special that we're doing this now. And then it just, he was out there soliciting money from folks out of his car, actually.
Yeah.
And then he eventually moved into a little space at the, I believe, the Stall Center, where the nature shop was at the time. And, you know, he just went out to friends and business owners that he knew and continued to do what he was already doing for some years, just kind of under the radar, and eventually formed the Presque Partnership, and it's grown quite a bit since.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of growing, let's ask Alana, because you were the president of the board. How did it go from Don to actually a unit and then to a voluntary board? I know it's a long birth process.
Well, I believe back then, and I wasn't here. I've been gone from Erie for 30 years, and I'm
Well, you
back
left when you were
now.
7.
I was. Thank you. I've been back for 10 years now, and Don was the first director, and then we moved into Steve McDermott as being our new executive director. Steve is the person who built the partnership board up.
Okay.
And from him and his ideas, and he just started to do things for the partnership for the park. It just sort of evolved with his ideas and his wonderful thinking outside the box.
Yeah, so your offices are located in the Tom Ridge
We're now in the
Truck
Tom Ridge Center,
Okay,
yes.
So on your way down, I think you're on the second floor?
Yes,
Second
our
floor?
office is on the second floor.
And John is the new executive director of that. So my understanding is that you really, in a sense, I don't want to say usurped, but you took a lot of the responsibility for Presque Park upon yourselves. The state's okay, but we could do a much better job if we were doing it locally, because we're here every day, every season. We know it's needed, and we want to complement the state. Is that a better way to say it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what the state does and what we do are not necessarily two different things, but we do complement each other. There are things that we do that the state cannot do.
Such as?
Well, they don't have the funds for a lot of the things that we do. We built different things on the park. We provide the new picnic tables. We're coming up with different ideas on how to do things that the state can no longer afford to do. And by, like as an example, the monument restoration this past year.
Which was done by the concert
Crosby,
the year
Stills,
before,
and Nash
Crosby, Stills,
concert.
Nash. I hope you went to that.
Yes.
A great time.
Yes.
Who would have ever thought that Beach 11 would be used for a concert in which alcohol was being served? I mean, because they make it a point in saying no alcohol on the peninsula, please.
Absolutely.
And,
Now, we restrict that, though,
yes.
To a number of drinks that they can have.
Sure.
But again, it was Steve's idea to go out to the government and say, this is what we want to do. What do we need to do to get your buy-in?
Let's jump currently. Just finished up the Steely Dan concert, and John, the money from that Steely Dan concert, the profit from that will be used to?
It'll go towards the restoration of the Presque Lighthouse, and that is in dire need of some restorative work, and actually it will eventually be open to the public, and the grounds will be available to rent for...
Currently it is what?
Currently it is now under the control of the Presque Light Station organization, which was newly formed, and they are running a couple tours currently throughout the year to begin to generate their own sort of funding base.
It is a functioning lighthouse, though, is that correct?
It is absolutely a functioning lighthouse.
Yeah, it's electric, it's not oil like it used to be.
Right, they converted it. I don't know exactly what year they converted it, but it has long been guiding ships through the Erie Harbor across the lake for over 100 years.
So because of your efforts and because of the people who serve with you on the board, and they are volunteers, the concert's put together, the state Crosby, Stills and Nash and Steely Dan, raising a lot of money that the state could not possibly afford to do.
Correct.
And so by the state releasing, I would think, some of its grip on you, saying, sure, go ahead and do this because we can't, you were able to improve the Perry Monument, which I think you all know where that is, and if you're right in that area down there, you'll notice there's a pavilion, and there are new picnic tables in that pavilion. I was there a couple weeks ago for a reception for a couple who got married. It was just lovely, just lovely. And so coming will be the restoration of the lighthouse because of the Steely Dan concert. And when will that open? When do you think that'll be ready for public to walk in?
My guess is that it will not be a completed project from 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
It's going to be that extensive.
Costing about how much?
My estimated cost would be between $1 million and $1.5 million.
Okay.
And that it will include not only the restoration of the actual lighthouse building, but they're going to be rebuilding the barn, and they're going to be redoing the garage to be their operations center. So there's a lot more involved than just the restoration of the building.
Okay.
And it will eventually be an event site so that people can go and rent for a wedding, a party, or whatever, and they'll have a special operation there, which will be done by the Lighthouse Group.
Okay.
It will not be the partnership's responsibility.
Okay.
That is why they formed another nonprofit organization
Okay.
to run that whole area.
All right. And John, you're part of that responsibility? Or is that go beyond your responsibility?
It does. Initially, we are kind of holding their hand, if you will, throughout the transition. I eventually will be just passing the torch along to them.
Right.
Okay. So, well, same question for both of you. When you go to work, John, what do you do?
Oh, I start.
You have a year and a half to answer that.
I start my morning actually with about. I drive down to the stall center and drive back.
Okay.
It's my way of just kind of clearing my head. You know, feeling that park atmosphere around me, and then I go into the office and I start plugging away on emails. You know, right now we have we're going to be working on our membership campaign. You know, meetings with DCNR and staff meetings and other organizations.
DCNR standing for?
The Department of Conservation of Natural Resources.
Okay, they have a big hand there, don't they?
They absolutely do, and the partnership that we have with them, we wouldn't exist without them.
Okay.
They are. We are resourceful because they are there to help us. We help each other out. It has really made our lives much easier. It has made all of our events possible. Without their help and their cooperation, we would not be the Presque Partnership.
We'll ask you the same question in just a second, but I want you to whisper to me the group you have coming in 2 years that will be at the power of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Steely Dan. I'm throwing in Chicago or Fleetwood Mac. What do you think? Would that attract anybody? Or Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett.
Together?
Together,
They have a new album coming out.
I know they do.
No, but I'm just wondering right now, too soon to say you're going to have another big major funding event, maybe in a year or two?
We can't say for sure.
Come on, you're squirming out of it. You can't say for sure, huh?
Well, we are primarily a volunteer-based organization.
We wouldn't turn it down.
We wouldn't turn it down.
All right. Okay. And by the way, I hope you noticed this shirt. It says Presque Isle State Park, Erie, PA. Nice shirt, and you can buy those shirts at?
The Nature Shop. And what a lot of people don't know, the Nature Shop at the Tom Ridge Environmental Center is operated under our umbrella. So all the proceeds from the Nature Shop go towards the park. And it's a really wonderful shop. When it started, it was in the stall center. It just had a couple books and a couple knickknacks. And to see what that's evolved in at the Tom Ridge Center, beautiful space. Sally Lubin has done a tremendous job.
It is. Our grandchildren love going in there, and people love coming in there. Shouldn't limit it to grandchildren.
Plenty of unique items there.
Oh,
and
very much.
A lot of local artists too.
Tough question. When you go and you take over the gavel, you call the meeting to order for the Presque Isle Partnership, What's going on? What do you do? What do you have to do? What are you looking forward to doing?
My goal is to make sure that the partnership has a very strong foundation, organizationally and financially. That is my goal for this coming year. We've had a lot of events here. We went through a lot of changes in the last 4 months, and now we need to focus on getting everything together so that maybe in 2 years we will do another major event.
Okay.
But right now we all need to be on the same page, and I have to say that the board that we have, the people who are on our board, there are approximately 22, phenomenal group of people. They will do anything that we ask of them, and we asked a lot when we had this last concert because it's all volunteer.
Yes.
All volunteer.
Speaking of which, either one, we have a lot of people watching. Are you looking for volunteers to help you? Is a call going out and saying, we really need you? But our board is okay, but boy, when it comes to doing events like, say, Discover Presque Isle, boy, we really need a whole lot of people. So
Absolutely.
Website or phone number where they can dial in?
Website, definitely.
Website is?
www.discoverpi.com.
Okay, .com.
That's correct.
One more time.
www.discoverpi.com.
Okay, and our phone number?
You can call me directly, 838-5138.
Okay, so the people that serve meet once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month?
We meet once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month, and then we have an executive board meeting also once a month to prepare for the full board meeting. And we discuss everything. We're very transparent. So whatever the group is doing, whatever we're doing, the partnership, everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Okay.
Absolutely.
Behind both of them and me, you can see the posters. I don't know how well you can read those, but I'm going to take the one over there. It says special events because everybody's heard of these, and the one is the Discover Presque Isle event. We'll come back to that. The Sunset Concert Series. I'm not sure if you knew that that's part of their umbrella too. And the Walk to Make a Great Park Better. Speaking of walking, I mean, there's so many events held there. It's open 365 days a year. There's so many events held. There's marathons that are held there. People ride their bicycles there. As they say, you walk, you just kind of clear your head. And people go, that I know from out of town, and because of my other job, I can travel the state, they go, you have this at your doorstep? Do you know how lucky you are? It's incredible. Let's take Discover Presque Isle. What was the germination of that idea? Because the people in Erie are going, well, yeah, duh, Discover Presque Isle. We know what that is. Yeah.
I actually heard the story a couple months ago how it came about. Don Guerin was out doing his work just kind of on his own and started building the lighthouse kiosk right there, where there's some informational panels about the lighthouse. And without really any permission, he kind of just started building.
We won't tell anybody.
And he ran out of money. So they worked out a deal with the contractor to be able to pay that off within 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So that's how Discover Presque Isle came about, as a way to pay that off.
Okay. So when I go to Discover Presque Isle, and the event is passed for this summer, what am I going to do? What am I going to see? You got so many people, so many vendors, so many people coming. We have people coming into town to go to that from Albany.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they travel 300 miles because they know how cool that is. What do you got planned for them? What do they do there?
Well, you have over 100,000 visitors to DPI Days. And we have all the vendor space. We have the sand building event that is. And we did start off with John's fabulous idea of the 3 Mile Aisle event.
Oh,
that was his own personal idea.
2 snaps and then some.
Exactly.
It was quite a bit of work, that event. It went off without a hitch, the 3 miles. Turns out it was a little more than we bargained for. We were stretched a little thin on that weekend considering everything else that was going on. I'll just go through a couple of those other events.
Yes.
The music and bonfire at Beach 8. We have, there was what was it?
Sand sculpting.
It was the sand sculpting. Volleyball challenge. That's been going on for several years.
Years and years.
You know, you can go down and rent bikes and Surreys from the Yellow Bike, rent a boat.
Yeah. Now, you're not part of the Barbara on the Beast.
No.
The Beast, Barbara on the Beach, the Beast there.
Beast on the Bay,
But they ask permission to use the peninsula, and they go through you?
No, they do not go through us. They'll contact DCNR directly.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of people get confused as to how we play into. They're kind of not too sure where we I don't even know how to say this.
Well,
Yeah.
how we fit in with the state. We
Okay.
have our own programs.
Right.
Okay, but everything that we do, we have to really pass by Harry Leslie, who is
Sure.
the park manager, who
Absolutely.
is phenomenal. And we also have to
Who's an employee of the state?
employee of the state. But we also have to share the information with the Friends of Presque Isle. There is another group.
Okay.
Just so that they know that we are not, that what we are doing complements
Okay.
the user of the facility, of the
Right.
beach.
Okay,
So we have other people to answer to.
okay. The next, there's so much that goes on with that. Can't see in the morning or can't see at night for about 4 days for you when you do Discover Presque Isle. You know, I know what that is because my neighbor does that a lot. But the next thing is the Sunset Concert Series, and that is free, and you drive down to Beach One, and you're the driving forces behind that.
Yes.
You're the guys who say, these are the musicians we want, no charge. Do the musicians get paid though?
Yes, they do.
There's a
Yes, they do.
compensation for them to come out there? Okay, I don't think anybody objects to that. And
No.
rain or shine, really?
Really, rain or shine. So what happens is we contact the city, and each Wednesday morning they bring down the band's wagon.
Okay.
The DC and our maintenance come down with a tractor, and they actually put it onto the beach. They set it for us. We hire a sound guy to set up sound every week, and then the bands just come and we can
everybody has
enjoy.
a good time?
Everybody has a good
Everybody
time.
dances in the sand and does hula hoops and
Yeah.
cool things. I know a lot of people want to ask this question, so I'm going to ask it for you. You have nothing to do with, or you have a lot to do with, the sand replenishment and the actual nurturing of the Presque Isle itself so that it doesn't wash and go away. How much influence do you have with the Army Corps of Engineers?
None.
Zero.
It's the state. It's
Okay.
Harry Leslie and his group who deals with them directly.
Okay.
Yes.
And so far, we're pretty good. The breakwaters work, the sand replenishment's there.
Yes.
Years ago, there was a cry of no dirty sand because the sand coming in was sort of like, almost like a concrete quality,
Right.
somewhat. That's been improved somewhat. And also, you have events like Walk to make a better park. Specifically meaning what? You actually have an event that raises money?
That event actually is no longer under our.
Okay.
We don't offer that event anymore.
Okay.
That was one of Steve McDermott's
All right.
events. I would actually love to see it back in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
It would be great to organize a walk.
A lot of people have said, okay, I go to the park and, geez, I'm starving and I'm not by a concession stand. Why don't you people put a McDonald's here? Why don't you people put a Burger King here? And Burger King just bought Tim Hortons, and Tim Hortons just across the river, just across the pond, bring it to. Why don't you allow that? Why don't you allow some commercialization?
I'm sure that is a tongue-in-cheek question from you. Because
That's
we
why
would
they
be
pay me to ask
hung.
those.
We would be, there is no way that the park will become commercialized. There is just no way that is ever going to happen.
So after Sarah's, that's it.
Well, we have, no, the state has a contract with a
Yeah,
concessionaire.
sure.
But other than that, that will never happen.
Okay.
We want to keep it as pristine as possible.
And I would think, John, that most people would agree with that. They don't want to spoil it.
And what it really all goes back to is the mission of Pennsylvania State Parks, and that is to just maintain its natural beauty, and anything like a McDonald's or something like
It
that
is an
would just completely
ecological
deter it.
reserve and preserve. You know, there's that certain
Yes.
point out there by Beach 11 where they don't want boaters walking up and saying, hey, let's look at the birdies and have the kids get it. They don't want that. So there's a many layered approaches to what the park actually is. And so you've been associated with this now for how long?
I have been with them for 5 years now.
Okay. And John, you were with the park before you actually became the executive director?
Yes, I started renting bikes and boats at the Yellow Bike and the Presque Isle Boat Livery. Then I started interning under Steve McDermott for
Yeah.
2 years. Went back to school, and then I was the former senior event coordinator until I moved into this position.
And
So
congratulations.
Thank you very
'cause I
much.
hear nothing but good things about you.
And if-
They chose wisely.
If I may say that
Please do.
about John, we had many qualified applicants, approximately 28 actually.
Wow.
And as we narrowed it down, the one thing that John had that the others may have had but we did not notice is a passion
Yeah.
for the park.
I sense that in
And
his
that's
voice.
what we needed, is someone with a passion for the park.
Sure.
And John fit the bill.
I sense that in his voice and his approach, absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's take a little bit then. We've kind of gone through what you do. What do you have planned for us? What's next? Anything that you can discuss? Because I know that certain plans don't always come to fruition. Generally speaking, the park is in good shape financially, the park is in good shape ecologically, it's holding its own against the massive winters we have here. Any way you want to take that. Anyway.
Well, I'll start it. What we're going to do now, the board, we are going to look at all of the events that we have, and we are going to critique them, because some we feel that we need to pump them up a bit, others we may let go. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We're going to look at that, and we want to then maybe bring in some other events. So right now, we're in a planning stage for the next year.
Planning stage, good. John?
Yep, we're still decompressing from the busy summer that we've had. I think
Come on. It rained most of the summer.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
Our events got good weather.
Yes,
I
your
know.
events got good weather.
About that.
Discover Presque Isle was, pretty
Yeah.
good.
It
That
was,
was,
it
yeah.
was. One thing that we do have planned, which we would love to see out at Beach 11, is a nature play space. And when I say nature play space, I'm not talking about a playground that's within the area at Beach 11, but something that incorporates natural elements of the park. We're talking about sand, dirt, mounds, trees, maybe a tree house. Something that when someone goes in there and is exploring this nature play space, it will hit on each one of their senses. The smell, the touch, not necessarily tasting, but it's just a really natural play space that the idea of it, I think, fits very well within the mission of the state parks. And
Is this being driven by, you are younger than I am and younger than she is. Is this being driven by your age group that recognizes the environmental protection, ecological nature movement that is, I think we both support, though. I think we're both hand in glove with you on this one for sure. We don't want anything, I mean, they're not going to drill out there. That's for darn sure. They have to go through people's bodies before they can drill out there. That's not going to happen. And I think that most people will find that they definitely agree with you because they want their children to have what they had unspoiled and celebrate nature.
exactly. I mean, you think back, like when you were younger, it was the playground you had was in your backyard, balancing on a fallen down tree, or looking under rocks and seeing the bugs. Nowadays, our youth is, it's their iPads, it's their iPhones. So we want to reintroduce them to natural play.
Okay. What about boaters? Boaters, there is a marina there, but it's not gigantic, but it's been the same size for many, many years. We kept our boat there for a long number of years, and we enjoyed it. The fishing, the boating, the sunbathing, just the walking out there, the pathway. What else is there not to love for 4 million people coming to visit the park? And it has the largest, I believe, enjoyment of any state park in Pennsylvania, and rivals Yellowstone.
That's right.
I mean,
Yes.
I think that we can be very proud to say that you have done a very good job making sure that continues and happens. My hat's off to you. Congratulations. Very nice. Now, when you step down from being the president, will you still be on the board?
I hope so, if they still want me.
Oh, okay. I vote for you.
Thank you.
I vote to keep you. Yeah. John, do you have much sway over them? Can you say to them, I'd like to do this, and I need your blessing, and I need to go forward with, and what's the feeling of, and can we discuss this?
Absolutely, I would present any idea that I would have to our board, and I probably wouldn't do anything without their approval, because we are collectively here for the same reasons, and we don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Can we maybe dispel a myth today that Joe Roots really didn't live, that there really was no Joe Roots and he didn't eat mosquitoes? Or no?
I thought he ate snakes.
Oh, well then, okay, I'll go along with the snakes.
I have nothing to say about that.
Nothing to say about that, huh? Okay. It's okay then that as we're talking here, winding up a couple of minutes, the bikes that we have, the races that we have, the 24Ks, which not the 24Ks, the 26 mile, which sets a standard for Boston, is it, or New York? I mean, people come and run the Presque Isle because it's flat, and they can churn out a good time, which is okay, okay. Besides what you mentioned about the nature on that, do you see anything else that would, ball fields or softball fields, or maybe we're good where we are, and people don't really want to go there and do that?
Well, it all depends. I mean, if we come up with an idea, let's say we want to come up with a ball field complex.
Yeah.
we would have to take that idea immediately to DCNR.
DCNR.
Saying, is there any kind of an area that is not an ecological preserve?
Okay.
And then they would give us their input. But we really, anything that we come up with, any idea, has to go through them first.
so-
We have to be very careful too.
Yeah.
But what I'm amazed about is that a lot of people who live in Erie do not appreciate or understand that state park and what it is and
Oh,
what
gosh, yes.
all that it has.
Oh, yes.
At the concert, there was a couple standing at the water's edge, and they said, "Oh, what a beautiful park." Well,
Yes.
and I said, "Are you visiting?" And they said, "Oh no, we live here.
Really?
We've never been down
Never
here."
been there.
Beach 11.
That,
So that told
Amazing to
me
me.
a lot.
I mean, you got the lagoons right there. You can
Absolutely.
put your kayak in, you can go bass fishing, you can
Yes.
just take a trip on those boats with the
Yeah.
guides there.
Yeah.
Okay, Curtis, we got about a minute or two? Got 2 minutes. You get a minute, you get a minute. We'll save you for last.
Okay.
Give them your best shot in a minute. Whatever you think is comfortable to sum up with. We need you to do this. Thank you for doing that.
Well, I encourage all of the listeners to check out our website, discoverpi.com, and really explore all that we do. But it's not just us, it's what you do. What you do with your support in our events, coming to Discover Presque, to the music series, joining as a member, volunteering. There's plenty of ways to just support the park. I mean, that's not really a financial commitment. Shop at the nature shop if you want to, because all those proceeds go back. Really just take a moment and think about how wonderful this park is to our community and how it has affected your life. And continue to enjoy it for all that it is.
You got about a minute.
Okay. Well, I would encourage everybody to go down to the park to see everything that we have there. And as John said, enjoy it. But also, we're looking for your input as well. How can the partnership help you? Do you have some ideas on events that we have not thought about? We're more than interested in hearing from you. And also your critique of whatever we do have. Your positive critique on what we do is very valuable to us. We are there for you, and we're there for the park.
Alana Hanman and John DeMarco, both from the Presque Partnership. He's the executive director. She's the president of the board. Anything you can do, as you said, you can go to the website. And once again, John, the website is?
discoverpi.com.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us. I'm Phil Fatika. Till next time, take care.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.